John Zogby, standing by right now. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Bill.
So the big talk is, and I think CNN had a poll out yesterday saying that the numbers are even more in favor of Democrats in the midterms to take over the House. But there was a Gallup poll out that says Republicans are very energized and have a very positive view on their party, even more so than Democrats, although it was pretty tight. And then you came out with a column yesterday saying you just don't see a blue wave just yet.
Not yet. There are clear Democratic advantages, and it's certainly within the realm of possibility. But a lot of these races, of seats currently held by Republicans that need to flip to the Democratic side are too close to call, still have big undecideds. And while Democrats really do have significant advantages going into November, Republicans have some advantages too. The enthusiasm gap that folks have been reporting about for months between the two parties is no longer an advantage for Democrats.
Yeah. And even in our own 22nd congressional district right here, this thing is too close to call.
It is too close to call right now. There are a couple of polls now that have it a 2-point race, and Claudia Tenney was elected by virtue of being in a 3-person race last time, got about 46-47% of the vote. That's what she's polling now, 46%, which means she got a bump following the president's visit, but 46-47% doesn't cut it, especially when Brindisi is polling a couple of points higher.
And what is interesting, though, is according to that Siena poll, almost 10% of Republicans undecided. So how does a comment like that Italian memo, and Manaski and I will get into this a little bit, but how does that affect that undecided group of Republicans who probably clearly must have a reservation with Claudia Tenney, but also can't just find themselves voting for a Democrat?
Well, that's it. And so the big question is whether they'll turn out to vote at all. And there are people who will not cross party lines. That's why third-party designations, ballot positions, have been very useful in the past. I can't vote for a Republican, but I can vote for someone on the conservative line. But the impact of the statement has not been measured yet. But I can't imagine in any possible way how a statement like that could have helped her. She was pretty universally condemned by both parties. She was strongly condemned by prominent political figures from Oneida to Broome and all points in between who are of Italian descent or some sort of ethnic descent. And it's hard to see. No polling has been done since that time, but I can't imagine that it helped her.
In full disclosure, I believe you've told us before that you've done some polling work and some work for the Brindisi campaign.
No, not. But I've contributed.
Okay.
I've given a contribution to Brindisi.
And you do have to wonder. I'd love you to put your political hat on. If you were advising a campaign, what would, because it seemed like it was a strategy. Clearly, the memo was written. It was leaked to the New York Post. It was clearly a political strategy. Who would give that advice?
Oh, I think she is advising herself.
Okay.
And she's seeing the sorts of outrageous things that help Donald Trump. And they do. The more outrageous the president gets, the more he dominates news. And we see the president's numbers go up. His numbers will actually go up after being laughed at the United Nations.
Yeah, that was crazy yesterday. Yeah. My theory is whoever wrote that speech was setting him up for failure. I mean, who would write that to begin a speech in front of the General Assembly? I don't understand.
I think it was a very not so smart person.
Yeah.
However, and I've said this over and over again, having the rest of the world laugh at him, sort of set the table for Trump as victim.
Yeah.
And Trump as victim is somebody who does well. He becomes a metaphor for, they're laughing at the United States of America.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why I'm here to combat that.
Interesting. And then finally, Kavanaugh, who is, I mean, we don't know anything yet, but both sides have the potential of really losing big here.
Yes, yeah, they do. Odds are that the Republicans lose big. There's a huge gender gap going into the fall, and one of the only real issues is whether or not young women turn out to vote Democrat. If they do, then there is that blue wave. This is the sort of thing that can generate a big woman's vote. But frankly, between you and me and whoever is listening, I do think that the Kavanaugh nomination is toast.
Really?
Yeah, they can't afford, Republicans, that is, an act of defiance or something that in any way looks like we're getting this guy on the court by one vote or two votes.
Well, I got to tell you, whatever this Avenatti has today, he's prepping it up as if it has credibility. It'll be interesting to see what he comes out with today. So,
well, and everybody's picking it up too. But I think even before anything that Michael Avenatti has, it's a nomination that's in serious trouble.
John Zogby, as always, we do appreciate your time. Thanks so much. We'll do it again.
Great, thanks.
We'll break.